And you're still right here on the Touchdown Lagos Drive Time Show, 88.5 UFM. Yours truly, ADT, the radio OG, rocking with you steady. And you know, on a Tuesday, around 4:30-ish, we come to you with something that is quite important to me. And so I say, should I say to everybody, actually. And you know, we at 88.5 UFM, we're all about you. And one very big part of you is your money. You know, my dad will always say, if you want to know where a man or what a man likes or what anybody likes, look at where he spends his money. That's a pointer to the fact, or that's a pointer to exactly what are his inclinations and what he prioritizes and what he likes, because it is what you prioritize or what you love that your resources would go to. All right. So if you check your account balance and all your transfer has been going to your babe, hey! Or if I check your transaction history and I'm seeing this one shawarma, that one shawarma, now we know where your money is going to. Or I check your transaction history and I see, hey, 2 gig, 5 gig today, 10. We know you are spending your time on Burashagi and Kata Efe stream. Now we know what you love and we know exactly. You know, which of course gives something that I love in the Bible. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your money and you. Where, of course, because we care about you right here at 885 UFM. You know, we are also about how you deal with your money. And whether you like it or not, this year, whether you like it or not, you will be financially smart this year. You know, under this Nubian economy, under this, you know, this Tinobs economy, you will be financially smart, and you need to, of course, take some, you know, some interesting financial measures. All right, and that is why, and that is what exactly birthed this program. Because we have realized over the years that financial literacy is not something that is as common as we think it is. And it is important that we start to educate ourselves with these things so that, you know, we have a responsibility to the next generation, which will come from us. All right? That is why we have Your Money and You. And last week on the show, we had a beautiful lady, Coinsala Good Luck, come and talk to us about this particular topic. And today we are also continuing that series. All right, this year I feel when the pastors were doing, you know, those are our taglines that we do for every year. 2026, my year of divine upliftment. 2026, my year of great explosions. 2026, my year of divine turnaround. Which I've also did 2026, my year of tax. Because whether you like it or not, whether you are ready or not, you will pay tax. And it is better you start planning for it. All right? Plan very well. Know what you need to do. Know how to go about it. So you don't find your way or you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the law. Because right now, ignorance will not save you. Saying I don't know will not save you. All right? So today, we're not just paying tax. We're planning for it. And joining us today is another splendidly beautiful lady. All right, I will say this and say this one time. Since I have seen her, or since I met her about 28 minutes ago, she has been smiling from ear to ear. Like, she just a smile. I can tell you for a fact, that if any time in any time right now, or if any time in the universe the sun decides to pack up, like the sun says that I'm tired of shining, we'll just take a smile and put it in the, you know, in the solar system, and I guarantee you, a smile will light up the whole world, because she's got a very beautiful and bright smile. Ladies and gentlemen, in the studio with us for Your Money and You is Miss. Very important, Miss, not Mrs. All right, so you know, so you don't miss that. Okay, we have in the studio Miss Omolola Ambrose. She's a senior associate who actually works with Sten & Bland, and she's somebody that loves what she does, because when she came in, just thinking about, I love what I do. I love what I do. Oh, I enjoy it. Oh, I love where I work and I love what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, please tell me about it. So, meaning the fact that today she is someone that knows her onions pretty well. Beyond that, she's actually quite good at it. And she has over 6 years of her life dedicated to taxation, from planning to advisory and even to compliance. First things first, can I call you Omololi?
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay, so for the show right now, Omololi.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you too.
Yes, how was your journey down here? How was it?
Fair enough. My office is close by. And,
Okay.
so it's not a big
You just
deal,
breeze through.
I mean,
I like
literally.
it. I like it. I like it. Let us jump right into the question, and of course, what we have to talk about this day. Now, this year, coming into this year, oh my God, the memes, the conversations, the arguments. Everybody, one way or the other, right now is not like a tax expert. We know one thing or the other about the tax and what exactly it entails. But just for a bit of context, in case you have been living under a rock and you don't know what has been happening in Nigeria for the past couple months, Nigeria implemented a major tax overhaul that of course took effect January this year. Now, 4 new acts, the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, the Tax Administration Act, Revenue Service Act, and the Joint Revenue Board Act were passed in June last year, with the main provisions taking effect January 1st this year. Now, these laws consolidate many previous tax statutes and aim to modernize the system, by expanding the tax base and introducing stiffer penalties for non-compliance. All right? And last week, of course, we had Madam Coyne come in and, of course, give us, insight what has changed. But today, I want us to go from what has changed, to what needs to be done. All right? Because, like I said, whether you like it or not, you are going to pay this tax, except you don't earn up to 800,000 naira yearly as an individual, and you don't make about 50 million naira or in turnover yearly as a business or entity. But as long as your threshold goes above those, you most likely would have to file and comply with the tax law. So today we're talking tax planning, tax compliance, and of course, what to know and basically how to go about, complying and planning and filing your taxes. So today, let's start with this Omololi. Omolola, let's start with when people hear tax planning, and I'm saying this and I'm approaching this from the Nigerian sense.
Okay.
When Nigerians hear tax planning, the Nigerian sense or the average Nigerian, planning is a way of avoiding something. Mm-hmm. You understand? Okay, so me I plan avoid. So for example, the question wakes up and say, I guess we go about 4 because I go avoid the traffic where I go jam for Third Bilan Bridge, or when I'll run into a Lekki. So for the average Lagosian, average Nigerian, planning most times has to do with how can I avoid or dodge an impending, loom or danger. All right. But let us now set the tone to what comes to mind. All right. When we talk tax planning particularly.
Okay, so I think one thing we need to realize is tax planning is bespoke.
Okay.
There is no one size for all.
Oh, yes.
So, but basically tax planning it's not just compliance. It's also how to optimize your liabilities. So that means that you're trying to ensure that you comply as at when due, and also you don't overpay.
Okay.
You're trying to avoid that. And also on the flip side, you don't underpay too. So another side of tax planning is you also having to claim the deductions that are due to you.
Okay.
So and that's where compliance now comes in. And that's why I started out by saying that it is bespoke.
Let's start with debunking some myths about the current tax laws. For example, if you see on social media these days, a lot of people are now going to say, "Oh, put your narration as gifts, as this one, as that one."
If you like, put it as rent.
Just in a bit to avoid, which I sort of find quite, how would I put it? I find quite. Because that would say that they intend to tax almost every transaction you make by your account, which almost sounds a little bit almost illogical. But let's look at it. What are those myths that you've heard and you've seen that have come out since the new guidelines that we're passing a new that will take effect on January 1st? What are those myths you've seen, and what is the truth in it, and what is the lie in it? Let's start with that.
Okay, so I'll start out with when there was the old rumor that if you don't have your tax ID, you won't be able to access the money in your account, or if you don't have your tax ID, you won't. The bank would let you operate. Well, so firstly, the truth is the tax ID is supposed to ensure that people who generate income are taxed.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So there is that bit. So that means if you generate income, you're supposed to come within the tax bracket. So the first thing is the law gives, there is always a window period.
Okay.
Aside from that, there is also the fact that your national national identification number, that's your NIN.
NIN, yes.
Can also be used as your tax ID.
Okay.
And another truth in that is, for proper rectification or verification, you can visit the closest JTB, which is now JRB,
yes.
Right? But then the Joint Tax Board,
okay.
You can visit them to have this, to either harmonize what your previous tax identification number was with your national identification number now.
Okay.
And if you never had the tax identification number, you can always have your national identification number registered as your double as your tax identification number on their platform, right? So you can either do this online, or you go to their closest office, or better still, you go to the Lagos Internal Revenue Service, that's LIRS. So when you go to LIRS, you can visit the nearest tax station, and I can promise you that these people are very much approachable and they're very much relatable. I just think that we function in a society that is low trust, and of course the issue is not just with the citizenry. Even the governments, there's a part too. So there's low trust on the side of the government. There's also low trust on the side of the citizenry. Yes. So as a result of that, they just think, if I don't have this, it's fire and brimstone. Not so. They are always. That's why we have these authorities for you to approach, and you can visit the closest station to you to rectify this. Then the second one is, they are going to take money from our accounts.
Okay.
I find that one very wild, because I don't think we function in an authoritarian setting. Yes, I think, at least the best of my knowledge, there's still some form of law and order, right?
Yes.
Even though you don't see it, like, it's not, you don't think it's optimal yet. And this is for each person, according to your thinking. But I think there's still some form of law and order, and that operates also on the side of those who govern. So to that end, it's not true. It's not true that they will just come in and take your money. The taking of money that people think is an enforcement procedure, which is completely off. Like, that's an entire discussion already. That one, it is already certain that whatever assessment, because how it starts, right? It starts from the point of assessment.
Okay.
So it means that the relevant tax authority will give you an assessment. So you say, I think this money is too much.
Okay.
Then there's a back and forth. And now this is where people, they fall short of. They don't respond. They don't regard those correspondences. So, and I think it's a bad thing. And this is, particularly for businesses, I just want to say this, that this is not the time for you to receive assessments or letters and you ignore it. I have, as a legal practice, I've seen cases where clients will just ignore, and at the end of the day it just becomes very problematic for legal practitioners, because we're like, you could have just responded,
Yes.
just so they know that you're not trying to
Evade or avoid,
exactly
yes.
evade taxes. So there is also that bit. The one of deducting is an enforcement procedure, which is another discussion
On its own, exactly.
entirely.
Yes.
And there's a third one, and I said that you have to pay 25% on if you are on building materials or whatnot. And
Yes.
I think NRS came out to say there is no 25% that you're paying on building materials. That actually, for building, right, that's why we don't have VAT on rent.
Rent, yes.
Right, and there's a lot of eligible deductions when it comes to building. So that whole thing of, so that 25% one is also gone. So I think, okay, then there's also the last one of you are going to pay more. If you look at the band,
Yes.
that's the income band, you see that the first 800, and when say 800,000, it is your taxable income, not your
Yes,
gross.
not a gross.
So that means if your annual gross is 1.2, right, there's going to be deduction. And now what we used to have before was the consolidated relief allowance, but now we have the rent relief allowance of 500,000. Now I've had a discussion with my colleagues, like, this is too small, but I'm like, they're trying to protect low income earners.
Yes.
So if you're a baller, like, what like, guy, just do the right thing. So there's also that. So I mean, I will pay less, or I will pay more rather. And I mean, when I attended a conference where Tai Wedele was speaking, he said he's glad that when people receive their first pay, like in January, and they saw that the income band was applied, and they saw that they had more to take home, and they're like, oh, this is not lying after all. So if you do, in my opinion, not even in my opinion, if you do a calculation, I think those that will be affected are the high income earners.
Okay.
And Nigeria operates a progressive tax structure. I mean, which is the whole essence of a progressive tax structure. So the higher you earn, the more taxes you get to pay.
I like that you've broken that down really interesting. I've taken out the fact that hey, there's no taxing on building materials. Hey, that 25% is a whole hoax, is a lie. And also the fact that hey, nobody has the right to take money from your account. All right, relax. All right, just comply. And I think one really important thing that you raise is that once you see correspondence from the tax man, respond. This is not a time for you to be avoiding correspondence. And I think that I saw, which we're going to come to pretty bit, is the current contention of the law of substitution, which of course which as people are saying that it's going to allow for them to take money from your account and all of that. So we're going to come to that in a bit. But you already explained how you said that there is an income band that it applies to, and you've explained how the tax protects low income earners. So is tax planning, something that only, like you said, ballers need, or should everyone earning an income actually think about it, irrespective of the income band that you fall in?
Well, like I said, it is bespoke, right? So of course people with high income would demand it the most because they want to pay the least taxes. But also, I mean, for low income earners, I don't think it would hurt because the deductions that are allowable, there's a reason why they're placed there. So I don't think it will hurt if you make use of them too as well. You apply them, and then you enjoy whatever relief that the act grants to you.
I like that. So let's come to compliance now. All right, and a question would be, what are the common mistakes? Because you've done it for you've advised, you've consulted, for what mistakes, what common mistakes you see individuals make as regards, tax compliance, as regard planning the taxes or filing the taxes. What common mistakes have you seen individuals make, and even small businesses as well? What have you seen them make? And as an addendum to that, right? I was going to ask this question separately, but it's almost related. If you were to give Nigerians, 3 non-negotiable rules when, complying and doing their taxes, what would that be?
Okay, so I think both questions, I'll answer it I would answer it narrating or explaining better still. So I mean, you just have to pay attention and then get answers to both from there. So, firstly, is we don't really pay attention to documents in this part of our world.
Wow.
So, and that's the reason why the whole narration thing is very funny to me. I mean, I'm just remembering someone like a meme and said like 100 million narration gifts. So yeah, for that Christmas. So yeah, for that Christmas, Abby. so yes, but jokes aside, right? We don't really pay attention to documents. We don't pay attention to receipts. I saw a colleague saying that, sometimes even when you get to supermarkets, such as even looking at your receipt, because some items they are tax exempt. Some items are also zero rated. So we should pay attention to details, pay attention to documentation, for businesses particularly, SMEs that just think, I'm just a small business, I'm just there. I just want time to think like that. There are certain books you need to keep.
Yes.
There, of course, from your general ledger, then to your revenue journal, then to expense journal, fixed assets register, like that. Just ensure. Okay, let me just say like that. I mean, I'm here. But to debtors ledger and also creditors ledger, payroll register, VAT register. I mean, ensure that you take or you are as detailed as you can get. And the reason is simple. So that in the event where, because I mean, NRS, they have the power to investigate, they have the power to raise additional assessments, even after you said, oh, this is what I'm liable to pay.
Yes.
And they have that power to raise additional assessments and to also, call for audits.
Yes.
Tax audits. So, I mean, when they do that, when they start conducting the investigation, you can back up every transaction questioned with the appropriate papers, with the appropriate records.
Yes.
And I'll say something interesting about tax, particularly on the law side. When it comes to tax law, generally in law, right, the thing is, if, for instance, you accuse me, right, you need to prove that you need to prove that I did what you said I did. But in tax law, it's the other way around. If the taxman should say you have 50 million, you need to prove that you are paying less. That's how it works. So if you can't prove it, right, you then have to pay that. And that's where we see concepts such as BOJ, they call it best of judgment. That's where it comes in. Now, I mean, best of judgment is, and this happens when you don't keep proper records. So they just look at what is obtainable in your industry, and then you may not even earn up to your peers in the industry, but I mean, you are not keeping the books, right? So as a result of that, you now get to you can't defend that assessment, and because you can't actually defend that assessment, you would have to pay for it.
Pay a lot more.
So that's exactly. So I think documentation is a very big deal, and then secondly, hire professionals. People like I get in the world of artificial intelligence, it's a good thing that you ask ChatGPT, that you ask Gemini. It's beautiful. But I think that
ask Omolola.
I say so. If you ask me, you pay.
Yes.
But then I think this is the period for you to engage professionals on their services. And the reason is very simple. Now, by professional, I don't just mean anybody. Who is there is a content creator.
Okay.
And then professionals. I, for instance, am a chartered tax practitioner.
Okay.
So it means that I have that, there's that license for me to do what I'm doing, right? Also called to the Nigerian bar, right? But the reason why you should hire professionals is because they would not just speak to you, they would understand your situation and give you advice that relates to you specifically. Because a lot of these tools that we use, AI tools, are trained on, they are just based on data, right? Some of them may not capture the nuances that applies to you. So I remember a client coming to tell me that, I asked, he said something, and then I said, where did you get that from? He said, Google. I laughed. I said, don't try this. You better don't try this. So yes, there's also that bit of you having to hire professionals.
Yes.
And then finally, like I would say, just ensure to open to whenever you're engaged, that you open the channel of correspondence. And I would say this is a big deal, because I mean, I've worked for a client and where there was a complete closure for something that a simple correspondence could have solved. So I mean, so those are the three main things. Get your documents right. Ensure you hire a professional, particularly in this age of content creation, where you are just listening to someone that just say, "Hello guys," like a colleague said, isn't your colleague said? He said, when they give you assessments, you will separate the wheat from the chaff. Who know who is who. So and also, I mean, the reason why you should get a professional is in the times for audits.
Yes.
When you have to attend audit, so you don't just appear there alone, or you have someone that can defend some of the transactions that you made alongside the documentation. And finally, when you accept correspondences, you have 30 days to respond. Please do that. It's that simple.
3 key things, all right? Make sure you document. Take into detail every single This is not a time for you to be tearing receipts and trying to do into this thing. Keep your receipts. Especially, for businesses, even as an individual, keep your receipts. Money that you spend on fuel, on this, keep them. When you buy things, keep your receipts. Document properly. Second thing, like she said, which is, I think, quite a really, really important way. Hire somebody that knows it. This is not a time for you to be Googling and chat GPT. If you do chat GPT, you will see no jiggy. So hire a professional that knows the job, so that can help you, guide you in putting your papers together. And of course, respond to correspondence. This is not a time for you to see a mail from the tax man and say, "Hey, I did not say," it went to spam. Okay. By the time he spam you, how much you will pay, your eye go clear. Let's carry on, and I'm going to ask this question for those that are working 9-to-5ers, and I want to ask the risky in this, because for people that are working like myself, our HR, our companies file our taxes for us.
Yes.
All right. And this is the question: is relying completely on HR on a company or an accountant without understanding your own tax position, is it risky?
You should understand, but they have the responsibility to file on your behalf. And I'm talking about, and this is with respect to pay as you earn.
Okay.
So of course they file every 10th of the following month. So you should understand. And the reason why I'm saying this is I reached out to an old school colleague.
Yes.
And then I said, I'm about to do something I'm about to carry on a transaction for where you work. And I was like, arrest them. They did not remit my taxes. I like, yes. I wasn't coming to come and text you. Arrest, they didn't remit my taxes. I was like, okay. So there are times when, and this is I'm talking about, because one of the beautiful things about practice is that you get to handle real life. It's not just book, get to see it. It's in a situation where the company did not, and a lot of startup companies in Lagos are not doing that. They're not remitting
taxes. Exactly,
payee for your employees.
Yes.
You're not doing that, and that's risky, because they would not. The point is, they would ask you, not, of course, definitely not the employee. Of course, the employee may need, may need the understanding that you filed. Probably they want to process their tax clearance certificates.
Okay.
But that filing is your responsibility, and if you don't file, right, the law actually, you can. I was handling a case, and I know for sure they closed down that company because they did not file for the employees.
So
they did not file, so they closed it down. And of course, it takes a whole while for them to take such very drastic measures. There was also the bit of they were not paying attention to paying attention to correspondence. They were not responding back. Then the other part of, they were also they were not responding. They were not paying no response. So I mean, and when a demand notice was served, even to the demand notice, they didn't respond to. Very bold. It's bold, though. I'm brazen.
I like that you went the way of, giving a case scenario where, certain companies have had to, pay the piper, for not complying or not filing. And it just brings up a question in my head right now. And this one borders on penalties, right? What are the penalties? Because we have had a lot of things now. There are a lot of stories going on amongst people everywhere. That come on, like you said in the earlier, because some people are saying they come and take money in your account. Some people are saying some people they can come and so what exactly are the penalties that exist if you as an individual, business, whether small or big, fail to comply or file your taxes? Okay,
so first there's just to make you understand that you not paying your taxes or you not complying, it's not just a civil matter, it's also criminal as well. So there's the jail term.
Wow.
Then there's also the penalty, depending on which of them, right? But definitely there's the fine of nothing short of 100K, and there's also a calculation, which that is, it could be for every day of default or for every month where you defaulted on that. So there are just two things that you must have in mind. Then, aside from the jail term, there is also I would put it this way, although this is not stipulated in law, but there's also the reputational damage it's going to do to your company, where, for instance, they have to go the extreme mile, like locking up. They imagine your clients wants tax. Why you log say go pay taxes? You don't pay your taxes.
Wow.
So but the penalties are broad, and like I said, it's to each
it's bespoke
offense. It's to each offense.
Yeah.
But be certain that you can do jail. Let's get you think you can go to you can do jail. And secondly, you can also pay nothing at the very least 100K first. Let your body calm down. So you would not.
I like that. Now, I mean, we've spoken a lot, in this. We've spoken about, what planning itself means. We've spoken about, common mistakes and myths that people have made with regards to, the new tax regime, what it means and what it doesn't mean. We've also spoken about, common mistakes people have made while filing the taxes, not paying attention to records, not hiring a professional that will help them through that process. And equally, and lastly, not responding to correspondence, which is one thing that you said, is usually the damage for them. And but we've not really spoken about this aspect, which I feel is really quite important. And for anybody listening to us right now, hearing us for the past 30 minutes talk about, tax, file this, document, you are going to pay, you might be liable for not paying. Someone listening right now who has never filed before, right? Because I'm assuming that, and this is my theory, the average Nigerian would think that, hey, I don't see the government doing anything. Why should I pay my tax? Right? And if you look at the policies of, the government in the last couple, let's say last decade actually, it's been widening and expanding the tax net to accommodate more people into that tax net. So you can sort of deduce and say that, by this logic, not a lot of Nigerians pay tax, right? So saying that, you can say that, okay, there's people that actually in their life have never had a tax before. I've never filed before. So for someone listening right now and has never filed before, what is the very first step that they should take, this week?
Okay.
Yes.
So
because it's almost month end,
right?
Yeah.
I know. Yes. Interestingly, for VAT, right? You for filing of VAT is even 21st. Today is what? Today is
24th.
24th.
Yes.
So that means on the 21st, on or before, you should have filed for the preceding month. That means for December's filing that will be done in January, you should have done it on the 21st.
Okay.
So for businesses, you need to register. You need to register for taxes.
Okay.
That's companies' income tax,
okay,
value-added tax, withholding tax, stamp duties.
Okay.
So for stamp duties, this for instruments that, of course, that will be stamped, your contracts, and all of that. Then for VAT, value added tax, that one is supposed to be, like I said, 21st of the following month. Then the same thing too with withholding taxes. You also have to register too as well. Then companies income tax. This one is done every is on a preceding year basis. So that means for your 2025, right, you'll be filing in 2026.
Okay.
So one thing you need to do is to ensure that you first register.
Okay.
That's for your and now the way I think there's now a sync with CSC and FIRS,
all right,
such that when you register your business, you see the tax identification number on the bottom of the certificate of incorporation.
Yes.
So when you have that, you immediately get to register. So after registering for VAT, once you just register, then you pay attention to the dates. So you pay attention to the filing date, like I said. Then for payee, if you're a company, 10th of every 10th of the following month. And then for companies in oil and gas, it's 5 months. 5 months in the actual year. That's so unlike other companies where it's preceding year. For companies in oil and gas, it's the actual year. So that means 2026 they have to file in 2026. So that's how it works. So one thing that's for companies. Then for individuals, March 31st is where is where you need to file. That's where you need to file your taxes.
Okay.
Then so you need, of course you don't need to wait till then. We rush work in this part of our world. That's that saying client texting you, oh, I need this now. I need it now. Nobody will answer you. So and what you need to do is you first compute your liability.
Yes.
Then thereafter you file on the portal.
Okay.
Everything seems seamless. At least I know for Lagos State, you go to the etax.lrs.net. So and then you file there. That's for LIRS. Of course, before March 31st, that's the filing date for individuals. So once you just get like I said, the first thing to do, right? This radio program is very much educative and informative, but there's still a lot that has not been said yet. So ensure you go speak to not just an accountant, but also a legal practitioner.
Yes.
And then once you have that, they'll tell you the filing date too, and they will help you compute your liabilities.
Yes.
And then you file, you comply, and then you are good. Also, after filing for individuals, you could also get an additional assessment raised. You either say, okay, I was being honest though, I filed everything, I did everything. If you can defend, tell them, oh, I don't have any more to pay other than this because this represents the truth. And you can say, you don't catch me, don't worry. So but either ways, there's usually the case of an additional assessment raised when you've paid for your direct assessment, depending. So all of that is what you need to engage your professional on.
I like this. First things first, register, and that would involve you visiting, one of the the tax offices in your locality, in your state, to get what needs to be done. All right.
88.5 UFM. It's all about you.